He's not close to you now. Are you going close to him? We started fostering about 6 years ago. We started out kind of shallowly, like we just had extra plates in the house. I'm like, we've got extra rooms, extra plates, like it's that basic, we can do this. And so then we met with Thornwell and just had a conversation, went ahead and filled out the application, kind of feeling like we're not really, I don't think we can do this, but we're just gonna like fill out the application. Maybe we can help other people who can do this. And you just wanna help and you don't think you can do it, but it turns out you can. For us, it started off just doing respite, but then we saw other families at the trainings and the conferences and realized they look just like us, as in there was a lot of diversity, but they weren't waiting until they had finished having their own kids. There was just a lot of different phases of life. They weren't all empty nesters like I kind of pictured all foster parents were. They were just doing life as they were gonna do it anyway, and they brought along these extra kids and loved on them. Soapy bubbles. Okay, ooh, good. Once we saw those other families, we realized, I guess it doesn't take like someone in a different season or someone who's perfect or has everything together. And we decided to go ahead and say yes to our first long-term placement. Do you wanna wash your water cup? Okay, let's see here. What about? There's the frog again. When we got the first placement, we were so excited, right? We've got all this adrenaline and my daughter's so excited for a new friend. And then when they walk in, you realize how sad they are and they've just gone through trauma and you're just sitting in that with them. And it's actually like an awesome privilege to be there for them when you realize they've just lost everything. And also starting to piece together like what happened and trying to help him process at a very young age. And you're angry for them and you're hurt for them. And your natural reaction sometimes is to just look to blame. You know, the ways kids say things and your heart aches for them. And you realize even though you're excited to welcome these kids in, that you're on a path with them that is hard, and also because you're willing to foster, they don't have to be alone through it. And then you see that moment outside when suddenly they're playing and you thought they would never play, and they're playing with your kids and they're bonding and there's joy, and you realize, wow, there's a whole nother side to this kid. And it's like peeling off these layers where you go through these varying emotions with that kid, but you get to see gradually their best self and who God made them to be. That is when I feel the closest to God sometimes, is just I feel him in the room and I feel him just pouring out his love on these kids. If you are wanting to foster teens, it is totally normal to be nervous, to have fear, to fight all of that. But even when you welcome in a young child, there is a certain level of fear, there's a certain level of uncertainty. You don't know. I've had some of the younger placements we've received be much more difficult than teens. You just don't know. It can be this really scary foster care word in your mind, like it's just this anonymous teens foster care, like it just sounds so scary. But I'm telling you, when they walk in the door and you see them and you realize, oh right, they're a kid. Like all this stuff on this piece of paper doesn't sum up who they are. And when you get to see them as a person and get them a snack and realize like they need somebody too, it's a gift to be able to be there for them. One of the surprising things about having teens that I didn't expect to love is conversations. I didn't realize I was missing out on those big life conversations and getting to talk about just how school really went, and questions about the future and getting to prepare for the future, and just real conversations with older kids that you can't really have with a toddler. Having biological children in our home and then welcoming in foster children has always been a really rewarding mix. When we get a call, we ask a lot of questions and then we pray about it. And if God gives us a peace and we have the resources, I just fight that fear. I do. And I put together all of the safeguards that I possibly can, and I keep a really close eye. I've always been thankful when I give these kids a chance, and really they just need a bed a lot of times. And so all the things I'm wrestling through and the fears that I'm going through on the behalf of my kids have often been for nothing, for no reason. and my kids have been just fine. While you cannot know all of the unknowns, it never hurts to ask as many questions as you can. Just gather all the information that's possible. Anytime you can't take siblings in, and you want to, but you want to keep that bond, what's been really cool for us is to get together with those other foster families, and you have like automatic extended family. It's been amazing. Some of the families that we've sibling shared with, we still keep in touch even after the kids have gone home. I have found that gathering support around you when you're fostering is huge. It is a game changer. A lot of times I think the reasons we feel we don't have a lot of support is we're afraid to ask. We don't want to come across as insufficient. I said yes to this call. I should do everything for this child. I think it's okay to ask for help. I didn't feel so at the beginning, and I think that made it a lot harder for me. But when I realized like, oh, people actually want to help and they just don't know how, that was just eye-opening for me. If you're considering fostering, when you're first starting out in the licensing process, it can feel like a lot of paperwork. It can feel like a lot of ambiguous foster care. You forget that there's the children. Like, it's not just foster care, it's these kids. And when you meet these kids, it can change everything for you. It can help take away a lot of that fear. It can take away a lot of that uncertainty. And it can give you a new purpose to keep going.